All right, welcome back. This is video number 2 of the SDR Readiness Series. If you are tuning into this series cold, there is a playlist link that my team would have included down below in the bio. Open that on a separate tab, and after you watch this, watch the previous video and then just binge watch the rest of the series, okay? All of these videos are made to layer on each other. So I think there should be about 10 videos in the series, and try to get through as much of that as you can. I would recommend have a pen, have a pad, note taker, whatever, type your notes up, take as many notes down, because this is proper long form content and it's not designed just to be clicked through or watched in the background while you're doing the dishes. Like, really dial into this stuff because it is going to help you get promoted, kill it as an SDR, become an account executive, and everything beyond that, okay? Now, your first full year as an SDR, the game plan, okay? Now, I have literally laid this out here. So we're going to go left to right. So just stay with me. Don't hop around all of the slides or don't look at everything at once. Let me just kind of break down each of those areas, right? So it starts to make sense for you. Now, the reason I break this down is because a lot of people do not understand how to step into an SDR role, what to do, when, what skills to acquire, and ultimately how to get out of an SDR position, okay? The SDR role is not one that you stay in for longer than 12 months, personally. Personally, that is my view on it. Some of you might think that you need 2 years. I personally don't think so. I think that you can achieve everything you need to achieve as an SDR and get the skills you need to become an account executive and do it in 12 months. And if you're doing it in any longer than 12 months, it's overkill. If you're in an SDR position after 2 years, like, you need to seriously reconsider what you're still doing in tech sales. Like, it's not the sort of position that you stay in for like 2 years. Like, you're in, you smash it, you build the skills, you position a promotion, and you either get promoted up or you move out into another organization, into an account management or an account executive role. Like, and you do that within 12 months. Like, that is the game plan. That is the playbook, okay? Now, what do you need to do that? Your first 90 days, this is what you need to focus on. 1, become a customer champion. You need to have a very good understanding of customer pain and stories. How do you do that? Very, very simple. I'm glad you asked. What you do is, whatever company you work for, let's say you work for CrowdStrike, right? I'm going to use them because I used to work at CrowdStrike. Let me just make this a smaller window, right? So if you work for CrowdStrike, go to your website. Firstly, read through everything that you do, right? So you understand your own capabilities, like priority number 1. The next thing you want to focus on is go to customer stories. Every organization has these, and literally spend, like, within your first 90 days, I would be spending every day at least 30 minutes out of your time in the first 90 days. Every fucking day, you are going through and studying customer stories. You're watching them. You're understanding the things that the customers are saying. You're understanding the problems that they share. You're taking all those notes down in terms of the problems. Whatever you don't understand, you go speak to your managers and you say, hey, what do they mean when they talk about vulnerability management? What do they mean when they say 0-day attacks? What do they mean when they talk about insider threats? What do they mean when they say compromised credentials? What do they mean when they say, we got golden ticket attacked? Like, whatever you don't understand, you write down. And you spend 30 minutes every fucking day for the first 90 days, like, binging customer stories. You want to get so fucking good at understanding what customers are saying about you, but more importantly, the pain points, right? You want to literally start taking notes, pages and pages of notes, and being able to articulate and understand pain points. Okay, so that is incredibly critical. So in the first 90 days, implement that habit. It's a game changer for you. The next thing is map your territory. Okay. I will go into a deeper video around territory mapping. I have a exact process that walks through how territory mapping works, which I've literally laid out. So I will walk you through what that looks like in a separate video, but you need to be mapping your territory. Best case scenario, your territory is already mapped, but if your account executive hasn't done it properly, just do it again, okay? Establish an operating rhythm. Super critical. What is an operating rhythm? Your operating rhythm, without overcomplicating it, is your calendar. How are you set up? What are your non-negotiable blocks? And as an SDR, you only have 3 non-negotiable things. 1, your prospecting blocks. 2, your setup blocks. 3, your learning blocks. Those are the 3 things you have to be doing as an SDR. So I will talk to you about operating rhythm in further depth when we get to the operating rhythm video. But that is the next thing you want to get really good at in your first 90 days is how's my calendar set up? What am I doing with my time? How am I executing? No brainer. The next thing that you want to focus on is getting into the rhythm of booking 4 to 8 meetings a week by at least the 2nd month, at the latest the 3rd month. Okay? Like, you don't want to be dilly-dallying. You don't want to be fucking around with this. Like, you want to be getting to that volume where you're doing 4 to 8 meetings booked every week. Ideally, by like the midpoint of your 2nd month on the roll, okay? Like, that is not super aggressive. That is very doable. And I will talk to you about how you do that when we get into the prospecting module. I literally have the exact game plan for how you do cold calls. I call them warm calls, by the way, because you can always warm up any call. And so I've got all of this stuff here. I will do a module on that anyway, which will be within the series. So again, just pull that up, the playlist link down below, binge watch it. Don't do it right now. Just open it in a separate tab and then go binge it later. I'll talk to you about multi-threaded prospecting, et cetera, right? So don't worry about that. But you want to develop that skill set, again, within the first 90 days, because that will help you get your 4 to 8 meetings a week. This is so critical. The moment you start becoming consistent as an SDR, when your base level of meetings booked is like 4 meetings a week, the word gets around that you are an effective SDR. Everyone wants an effective SDR. Soon, other reps will be reaching out to you. They'll be like, hey man, like, do you want to come and switch territories? They'll be fighting for you, right? Like, when I was at CrowdStrike, I would fight for the best SDRs. When I was at Zscaler, my SDR was a gun, right? Like, I made sure that I didn't let him go. I made sure my managers did not move him off my territory. I was like, I've got to keep him on my territory, right? So that's the first 90 days. Very straightforward, okay? The next 90 to 180 days, deepen your customer knowledge, okay? You continue with the learning, but you really want to start getting tailored. You really want to start getting targeted. So maybe you start going into specific sectors. Maybe you really focus on a specific market. So if you're selling in ANZ, you're getting really deep into, customers that you work with in Sydney. Or if you're selling in the US and you're covering, say, Texas, you want to get really deep into customer case studies for Texas. You're speaking to other reps. You're saying, hey, tell me about the most recent win that you've had. Why do they come on board? You're taking all of those notes down, right? So you're getting very deep in your understanding of customers within specific areas. But this is a constant habit, right? Like I said, the only fucking 3 things that you need to do as an SDR: 1, prospect; 2, set up for prospecting; and 3, learning, right? Straightforward. It's not rocket science. The next thing that you want to continue focusing on is holding that operating rhythm. The reason I say hold the operating rhythm is I see a lot of reps, once they achieve a certain level of success, or SDRs, once they have a couple of good quarters, they take their foot off the pedal. They start chilling out. They stop doing the things that made them successful in the first place. That is a quick fire way to end up falling behind, and suddenly people are going to be like, whoa, this guy was good, now he's no longer good. What the hell is going on, right? So you want to make sure that you have constant, continuous habits, and I'll talk to you about that when we get to the operating rhythm module, as well as when we talk about prospecting and the habits to set you up for prospecting, right? Number 3 is focus on massive weekly consistency, okay? Non-fucking negotiable, right? Non-negotiable. You have to be booking 4 to 8 meetings a week. Non-negotiable. That's the average of like 1 meeting every business day. You should be able to show up and get 1 meeting every business day for at least 4 business days. Not rocket science, okay? And I'll talk to you about exactly how you do that, but you need to continue that massive consistency. They need to constantly see this guy's creating 4 to 8 opportunities, or this girl is creating 4 to 8 opportunities every week. Holy shit, how are they doing that? They are so consistent. All of that will come in your favor when we get to that 180-day mark or that 270-day mark when you start pitching for promotions, right? So super critical to maintain that. Establish AE trust through results. I see too often SDRs trying to become buddy-buddy with their AEs, but they're not getting them results. They're not getting them meetings. That's not how you become your account executive's friend, right? You become your account executive's friend by getting them meetings, getting them results. Account executives love results. You get them results, they'll be your friend. You don't get them results, they're not going to be your friend, okay? Like it's a pretty straightforward equation. You don't need to overcomplicate this or make this rocket science. The other thing as well is not just results, but continuous improvement and curiosity. You're asking them questions. You're curious about their day-to-day, right? As an SDR, you're asking your managers and your account executives about how they run their territories, what they do, challenges, etc., right? Like you're asking them for new accounts. You're saying, hey, listen, I've got you into these accounts. Can I get you into some more? Give me a couple more and I'll get you into those accounts. Like you're the guy that is like proactively helping them build pipeline. They love that shit. I love that shit. When I was an account executive, there was one SDR at CrowdStrike. He was an absolute gun, total professional. I won't say his last name, but his first name was Patrick. Patrick was a killer. He was in the Sydney office. Patty, if you watch this video, man, I had a lot of respect for you, right? And a lot of the account executives had a lot of respect for Patrick because he showed up, he was energetic, he was quiet when it came to getting shit done. When I say quiet, he wasn't quiet on the phones, but he was like that silent killer. He was just in the office, dialed in, making phone calls, prospecting, booking meetings, always on top of the leaderboard. Like he just had that like killer energy, right? And like account executives pick up on that stuff. Management picks up on that stuff, right? People are constantly looking to see which SDR is killing it, which ones have that focused drive, because the ones that have that focused drive are the ones that get promoted. And there was other SDRs on that very same floor. I'm not going to name names, but they just weren't that energetic, right? They were just kind of fucking around, weren't really serious, didn't really have that attitude, didn't really have that energy. You could just tell they didn't take it very seriously, right? And because they didn't, they stayed SDRs for way longer than they needed to, right? It's a choice. It's a choice. It's not a destiny, right? Like it's the choices that they made that kept them there. The next one is online brand building, right? And so when I talk about online brand building, don't be that SDR that just reposts other people's shit, right? Be the SDR that actually creates some genuine content. Okay, so how do you create genuine content? Very, very straightforward. Pick something that you're learning or reading. So for example, if you're at CrowdStrike, maybe what you can do is like go into a white paper. So see if there is a white paper. Right, so how do you create content? Super straightforward. Like go into the website over here, have a look at the resources. Maybe it's the 2025 Global Threat Report. Download that, have a read through it, and then come up with some of your own comments, right? Maybe you can use AI to help you, but don't be that guy that's writing AI articles. Like that's just, people can just tell that you've written something on AI. But that's how you build an online brand, right? Read something cool, come up with your own thoughts about it, post that. And do that 3 times a week. You don't need to be crazy posting all the time. Do that 3 times a week. The other thing that you can do is when you speak to someone and you book a meeting, add them on LinkedIn, right? Be the guy that starts to build these relationships online early. Super critical, okay? Now, 180 to 270 days. At this point, you are humming. you're booking 4 to 8 meetings a week consistently. If you're booking 4 meetings a week, there's 12 weeks in a quarter, you're booking 48 meetings a quarter, right? I'm assuming the bare minimum. If you're the kind of SDR that's averaging 5-6 meetings a week, you're booking like 60 plus meetings a quarter, okay? You're a pipeline machine. You're booking like 200 plus meetings in a year. They're gonna love you. They're gonna fucking love you, right? Like people love SDRs like that. I loved my SDRs. They were constantly outputting. I was like, holy shit, this guy's a fucking machine. I love it. Like I want them to be my SDR. So at this point, you should be maintaining your operating rhythm and results. You want to start expanding your learning to cover industry knowledge, right? So what I mean by industry knowledge is by this point, again, let's keep with the CrowdStrike example. By this point, I would be finding podcasts about cybersecurity in general, right? So for example, if you're in cybersecurity, you would want to be listening to the Risky Biz. You would want to be listening to the Risky Biz podcast, right? Like Risky Biz is a phenomenal cybersecurity podcast. I used to listen to it religiously when I was a cyber AE, right? So at that sort of 270 day mark or 180 to 270 day mark, you should be pretty good with customer stories now, and you should be pretty good with sector stories now. You want to start getting into more industry know-how. Start becoming generally knowledgeable about the industry and curious about the industry. You want to start getting involved in sales cycles wherever possible, right? Like this is super critical. At this point, you want to start being involved in your AE's deals, right? You want to be sitting in on calls. You want to be listening to how they're doing discoveries. You want to ask your AE if it's okay to chime in with a question or two, right? Like vet it with them first. Say, hey, would it be okay if I ask them this question and this question? And they would say, okay, fine, go ahead. You can ask that question, but start becoming active. Don't just be a fly on the wall, start becoming active and help them wherever possible. Take their notes and prepare a post-meeting follow-up email. Look at their transcripts and help them summarize their transcripts with AI. Like there's so much shit that you can do to start to get involved now, right? And if you get the opportunity to, ask them if you can run discoveries. Can you run discoveries for maybe tier 2 and tier 3 prospects, right? And I'll talk to you about the tiering system when we get into territory mapping, but super good time to start doing this. Again, at that 180 to 270 day mark, you want to start positioning a promotion. And if you're wondering how do I position a promotion, don't worry, I've got a video on that. I'll talk to you about how to go about positioning a promotion. But if you've done everything right to this point, you are showing up with a great attitude, you're getting your meetings every week and overachieving, you've had a couple of solid quarters now, you're starting to build some of those early AE skill sets, and your account executives start to look at you and say, this guy could play at the next level, right? This girl could play at the next level. You want to start positioning that promotion, right? If you ask, you will receive, and I will show you how to ask. Super critical. 270 to 360 days. Be a top performer at this point. 4 to 8 meetings a week. Super straightforward, not rocket science. Get it done. Maintain your optics with solid results and your attitude, right? So again, that example of the SDR that was a CrowdStrike Patrick, like he was not only generating great results, but he also had the optics. He was quietly confident. He was getting it done. He was booking meetings. His account executives loved him, right? Like you want to make sure that you start to develop the optics of a winner, right? You want to stay firm with your positioning for a promotion, right? And again, I'll show you how you do this kind of at that 270 day mark, and you really want to start putting in some pressure. And lastly, be ready to move if you don't get that promotion. Now at this point, you should have the skill sets you need. You're a solid SDR. You should have some visibility into end-to-end deal cycles. You should have shadowed some deals. You should know how the playbook looks in terms of the broader sales cycle. You know your customer, you know your pain points, you know your product, you know the industry. Now's the time, right? If an AE opportunity opens up in another organization, you take it. If an AE opportunity opens up internally, you go for it because you're the person that has earned the right to do so, okay? Now, what I will quickly share as well in terms of skills map, right? And a lot of the videos that I'm going to cover in the series will cover a lot of the skills, right? So customer stories, that's your own learning, okay? 30 minutes a day. It's not rocket science. For the first 90 days at least, 30 minutes a day. You have to fucking do this. Pain articulation and depth, that comes from the customer stories. Understand pain. What does pain sound like? So if you're in CrowdStrike, or for example, when I was in CrowdStrike, I would listen to them saying things like, you know, hey, our infrastructure and network guys double up as a cybersecurity team, right? That's an interesting comment, because that tells me they don't have bandwidth internally and cyber expertise internally, right? If they tell me that they had detections that were, or they had incidents that were unresolved for weeks, okay, that's worrying, right? Like, I would start to get really good at listening to pain points so that I could understand when I should start positioning, or when I should start digging into stuff. Prospecting, no brainer, and I'll help you with that. There's a video on that. Operating rhythm, no brainer. There's a video on that. Okay, first 90 days, get good at this shit. It's not rocket science. 90 to 180 days, AE management and communication. I'll talk to you a little bit about how you do this, but really the best way to manage your AEs, get them results. Get them results. Be the guy that gets them results. That's the easiest way, right? But I'll talk to you about a few other things as well, like joint call sessions, how to show them that you're accountable to your own results, etc., etc. Prospecting, I'm going to say prospecting advanced, right? So at this point, you should be really kind of getting ahead. You should be using your LinkedIn Sales Navigator more effectively. You should understand, how to be doing cold calls in different situations, right? Like, you really want to start getting quite advanced with it. You want to get advanced with your talk tracks as well, right? So that 90 to 180 day mark, you should start getting into some pretty cool talk tracks around, for example, sector, right? Sector know-how. Hey, we work with people in the energy sector. We understand that their pain point specific to energy is this and this. Like, you really want to start getting to that level where you understand talk tracks at a much deeper level, right? And that only comes from learning the customer stories, from starting to become an industry champion, right? Like, you need to start to build a broader skill set, and you do that at that 90 to 180 day mark. And then tech. Start using AI. Start using Lucia if you're not using Lucia, or Zoom Info. Like, you need to get across tech. Sales Navigator, no brainer, right? Get really fucking good at Sales Navigator. If you use Outreach in your organization, get good at leveraging Outreach, right? Like, start understanding your technology really well. Tech is going to be the thing that gives you leverage. I learned this very late in my career, which is stupid. I should have been leveraging tech way earlier, right? I was just far too analog for the first few years of my sales journey, but now I'm like super reliant on technology, right? 180 to 270 days, start understanding the sales process more broadly, okay? Now, if you want to start understanding more about sales process, I have a separate series. I will include that down below, which is the SMB Account Executive Readiness, as well as the Commercial or Mid-Market Account Executive Readiness. And I talk about a lot of sales process stuff for account executives there. So if you're an SDR that wants to start getting your head around that, go watch those playlists as well. Some of that might go over your head, but some of that should be pretty relevant to you. But at this point, yeah, you should be getting across your sales process. You want to start developing rudimentary discovery skills. And I do have a video that I'll include in the series where you can understand how discoveries are prepped for and executed, so you can maybe do some discoveries yourself. And the 180 to 270 day crescendo is you want to start negotiating for a promotion at the end of year one. So some of those negotiation skills around positioning yourself for a promotion, and I'll show you how to do that as well. 270 to 360 days, super critical, AE transition skills. At this point, if any of you, by the way, are watching this and you're kind of at this mark, you're within the end of your first year as an SDR, go watch, I'll include the playlist down below. Go watch my full SMB Account Executive Readiness Series. Just go binge that, okay? I've got tons of content up there, all structured with tools. Just go binge that, get yourself ready for the AE transition. Super critical, okay? You should start getting across your sales process in depth. What happens at each stage? What is the aim of each stage? What are the stage gates that people need to go through before deals progress? What are some of the reasons why deals fall over at certain stages? You want to start to develop this stuff theoretically at least, because once you step into an account executive role, you don't want to be caught off guard, right? I see a lot of first-time SDRs step into AE roles and they get smacked in the fucking face. They get absolutely walloped because they're not prepared. start building relationships with your engineers and your architects. Okay, now is a good time to do this. These people will be a part of your team when you're an account executive. So start building those relationships there. Start understanding channel and the resellers, right? What is your channel model? What are the channel partners you work with? See if you can sit in on some channel calls. Start getting across this stuff, right? Again, this is all informational, but it is going to be useful when you step into an AE role. And know the basic processes for AE operations. Quoting. You should be able to start quoting stuff now. Understand how the forecasting works at a high level, right? Any other essential processes for AE operations. If you do this right, you build these skills across the space of 12 months. If you don't get an internal account executive promotion, you're in a position to be able to go out into the market and look for one, okay? If you do need some help with securing an account executive role and you're an SDR, my organization, Tech Sales U, we partner with another company that helps people do that. So if you need help with that, there will be some sort of book a call link down below for them as well. They're a company called Let's Get You Offers, and I know the founder. He's a phenomenal guy. So bit of a plug there, but if you're an SDR and you're trying to move into that position, just book some time down there with the Let's Get You Offers team as well, and you can be on your merry way, okay? Hope that was useful. Tune in for the next video. This is a series. I hope you're taking plenty of notes, and I'll see you on the next one.